For our first extra credit, we're going to create a custom component. You're going to use it like this, where we don't have to pass the box. We don't have to pass the font style of italic. We only pass the stuff that's unique for each individual box. We have the small light blue box, we have box small, and then the background color light blue. So let's go ahead and get that rolling. Let's start with the box, and we're going to take props, and we'll return a div, and we'll forward on all those props. And then for each one of these, we can swap the div for box. We save that, we'll get the exact same result as we had before, because we're basically just wrapping the div. And we can take a look at our DevTools here, our components, and we'll see that we've got a app div and then box, and that renders a div. So we're just kind of wrapping this div and forwarding along all of the props. So the next step is we need to preset the class name. So let's do class name, and we want them all to have the class name of box so that they don't have to pass the box themselves. Cool, so we'll save that. And that didn't really behave as I might expect. Now think about this for a second. Why do you think that's happening? Let's take a look at the DOM, and let's select one of these boxes. And what we're seeing is a div with the class of box medium and box small and box large, but they don't have the class name of box. Why might that be? Well, we learned earlier that when you do this spread, it overwrites all of the properties before it in the event of a conflict. So if I were to switch this over to the other side, what do you think is going to happen? Save that, and now we have the opposite problem. They're all getting the box styles applied, but they're not getting their size applied. So this is a problem here for the class name because we actually want to combine these two things together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to destructure this, and we're going to take the rest of the properties from that object. We're going to call this other props, and I'm going to pluck off the class name prop here. Okay, so now I have whatever class name was passed to this box, and I can combine that class name with the class name I want to have applied. So we're going to say other props for this, and we're going to take this and turn it into an expression, which is going to be a template literal here, and we'll pass box by default for all of them, and then we'll pass in the class name. There we go. Okay, so we have all of the three sizes. They're all getting the class names applied. And you know what? I want to show you one other thing here. And that is, what if I don't know, add another box here that's a sizeless box. No size, no color. If we come down here, we're going to see that sizeless box. And I take a look at that, we're going to see box undefined. So that's no bueno. Let's fix that. It's actually pretty straightforward. We can just do equals an empty string as a default. So if the class name is not provided, we'll have a default value for that class name as an empty string. And so now we can take a look at that, and now the undefined is gone. You'll notice we do have that space there, and we could fix that too. We just say trim, and now that space is no longer there. But quite frankly, I don't care about the space, and maybe you don't care about the undefined class name either, but it's so easy to fix that I'm just not even going to worry about it. This is a pretty common thing for us to do. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that there. Great, so the next thing that I want that's common across all of these is the font style of italic. So we're getting all of that passed as the other props. All we need is a style with the font style of italic, and then we can take this off of all of these, boom, 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 and they're gone. Voila, perfect. Wait a second, the sizeless box is the only thing that's getting the font style of italic. Now, why might that be? Hopefully it's starting to become clear to you. Let me give you a hint. If I move the style over here, what do you think is going to happen? Yep, the background color is not getting applied. So we're overriding the style prop from the other props in this case, and then we're overriding this style prop because of the other props in this case. So we need to combine those as well, and we'll do pretty much the same kind of concept where we'll take style, and then we'll just say, okay, let's put that style inside of this object. We'll merge those objects together, doing our own kind of composition here of these two objects, and it's working splendidly. We can look at the DOM output and we see our font style and background color, and now we no longer need to specify the font style in the style prop here. It's just getting applied automatically for us. Now, one thing to keep in mind here is that while the class name doesn't really care about the order, it will get applied just the way that CSS applies its styles. That works just fine. The order of the styles does matter. So if we come over here and put styles first, and then I say background color of green, and we save that, then that's going to override all of the styles there. So depending on what styles you want as just defaults and what styles you want to enforce, you're going to put that spread of the styles somewhere else. And typically when I'm making a reusable component, I'll have all the defaults over here and then spread what the user's providing me after, because I don't normally want to enforce something, but sometimes you do, and so positioning that style spread will be relevant for that kind of a scenario. So in review, what we did here to make this box component is we created a function called box. We took all the props and spread it onto a div here. And then we took the different things that we wanted to compose ourselves, like the class name and the style prop, and we composed those things manually ourselves. And then everything else that we don't have to worry about composing, we just forwarded along to the underlying div. And that's why we're able to take that children and that gets applied to the div. And anything else that we wanted applied will also get forwarded along. So if we say this ID has a small box, then that will also get forwarded along for us, which is exactly what you would expect, what you would want from something that is a simple wrapper over a div. And now we have a component that's kind of a styled component. It carries its styles around with it, and it composes any additional styles that we want applied to this box.